Thank you for being a member of Invest Club. As part of our continuing education, please enjoy this replay of our recent speaker.
Let's give a warm Invest Club welcome to Ray Isidro.
Thank you. I'm really ecstatic. I finished my Christmas shopping today. I got to tell you about this thing because this is brand new off the press. I own a judgment against a businessman. I levied on his bank, and lo and behold, he had a safe deposit box. We drilled open the safe deposit box, and there were about 67 items of expensive jewelry, watches, and stuff. I used part of the judgment and bid on it and got it. Tonight, my wife is at home looking at it. I've got a 2-carat diamond ring. I've got a 1-carat diamond ring. You guys saw it, right? Tiffany's. I've got an earring that's also a diamond earring. I've got a Lemania watch. Anybody here into watches? I am. I love watches. I invest in watches. A Lemania watch, and that watch is about a 1950s watch. It's worth about $5,000. I got that today. And then I got an Omega Seamaster DeVille. And then I got a Gucci. And then I got, it keeps going on. This is the most exciting business that I fell into 17 years ago. See, I was a real estate investor too. I owned a financial planning firm in Pasadena. I got bored. I wanted something exciting. Plus, I didn't want to be in real estate the regular way. I'm the kind of guy, I look at stuff and then I tweak it. I'm going to share with you how you can buy from dead people a home. No, we don't resurrect them. What we do is you are guaranteed, if you have this financial instrument in your pocket, by law, the executor or the attorney must talk to you. There's a friend of mine who is, he's called the, what's Ernie called? The probate fox. You guys have heard of Ernie? The probate fox? He teaches people how to buy properties from dead people. Ernie came to one of my meetings and it freaked him out because he said, the biggest problem my students and I have when we're trying to buy properties from dead people is that we're one of a million people sending our letters, right? Isn't that true? And I said, well, I can show you, but you got to pay me. A methodology that guarantees that that executor or that attorney that is handling that dead person's estate is required by law to call you. Would that change your marketing?
Yes. Yes.
But furthermore, I can even show you where to find those leads for free. I have a bunch of students here, and you guys will have the chance to question them to see whether I'm telling the truth. There are rumors, right, Jay?
There's rumors.
There's rumors. I'm also going to talk to some of you who, there used to be a time when I would invest in pre-foreclosures because I know that that's right when there's some good deals, right? How many of you are chasing foreclosures? There really aren't a lot these days, right? Okay. But what if there's a pre-foreclosure? Would that give you an advantage? Hi, Calvin. How are you? You sneaked in. Okay. How would you like it though? Because in a pre-foreclosure concept, you have to wait for something to happen, right? How would you like it if I showed you to make that happen?
Yeah.
Yes. You guys don't want to know? I have a student. She's in Sacramento. And she is a wonderful lady. She called me up and said, how am I going to enforce this $3,300 judgment? I told her how to do it. She said that was so easy. She got paid $3,300. And then I said, go find out and see if that guy, the judgment debtor, who owns 28 units in Sacramento, has another judgment against him. She calls me back a few days later. He's got a $150,000 judgment. It's never been paid. It's never been satisfied. I said, go get it. Because I'm going to show you how to use that judgment to take his property away from him, and he will kiss you for doing it. Yeah, you guys don't believe me, but. All right. Judgment profits. How many of you here are landlords? I know that I used to own a few properties. Sold them before 2008. I'm no longer in the property. Ed, you and I have a good friend, Marshall. He used to own a lot of real estate, right? I don't really own that. Mine has moved, by the way, to Asia. Okay? I sold and I moved to Asia. There are rumors, Jay, that I bought mango plantations.
Oh, there's rumors you expanded that mango.
Yes, there's rumors too. Landlords get ripped off every year by bad tenants, don't you?
Yep.
And when you win a judgment, you take them to court, the courts don't help you enforce that, right? Because you have to enforce it yourself. I will teach you how to enforce that, find their assets, and have a Merry Christmas. I kid you not. Calvin Lynn is here. Calvin, is it okay if I call you by your name?
Sure.
I just did. Calvin is one of my early students. Back in 2015, he took my course. By the way, Calvin's one of the best guys that I know. Calvin took my course, paid me an ungodly amount of money for my course. Right, Calvin? I mean, I charged him up the wazoo. But I promised him that if he followed my system, that he would recover that. And then he brought a case to me. Remember that case? And we enforced that judgment. We yanked $9,000 out of her checking account, didn't we? And he got paid. My youngest son is 20 years old. He wanted to come, but I told him he had to go to school. He just cashed 2 checks, one for $1,800, one for $1,900, and he works 12 hours a month. So judgment enforcement is a wonderful business. There are so many ways that we make money in judgment enforcement. But before we get started, how do I move this forward? Because I'm not a tech.
Oh. The button on the right goes forward.
I think I just went through that. Okay. Thank you. Stick around, because I'm going to expand on this concept. Scotty, you got to stick around and listen to this.
I'm here.
Scotty and I box at the same boxing gym, and we've never sparred, have we?
Lucky me.
Huh?
Lucky me.
No, we've never sparred because I'm too old.
No, you're good. No.
There's some astonishing facts I got to share with you guys about judgments. Number one, look at that. Fact number one, Los Angeles Superior Court. I'm going to talk about Los Angeles Superior Court today. Is the largest court system in the world. Right, Greg?
Sure.
By the way, Orange County Court is slightly less than that. Los Angeles Superior Court produces over $600,000 in money judgments, small claims, money judgments, every day. Every day. Fact number three, Los Angeles Superior Court has over $7.2 trillion in uncollected and unenforced money judgments right now. 7.2. Orange County, probably half of that. But look at fact number four. There are very few judgment enforcement specialists in the entire state of California. At a recent conference for the California Association of Judgment Professionals, we figured that there are probably less than 1,000 people in this business. But look at the market. And that's just Los Angeles Superior Court. I've got a little bit of that, 7.2 trillion. But I also have judgments in Northern California. I I have judgments because there is such a need for people to come and help those who have judgments. It's a tremendous opportunity. Here's what I really love. Number one, I have no competitors. Okay? I was concerned when Steve Love asked me to teach a course back in 2015. And I said, you know, the reason why I've never taught it is because I didn't want competition. And I figured there's no competition. I mean, I'm just talking about $7.2 trillion of unenforced judgments in Los Angeles Superior Court. There's Ventura, there's San Bernardino, there's Riverside, there's all sorts of counties, but just in Southern California, we have the largest pool of judgments available to be enforced. All you got to do is know how to do it. And if my 20-year-old son can do it, I guarantee you anybody can do it. Okay? Tons of available judgments. Great referral business. Let me tell you about what happened this morning. And Gabby and Alex here know what happened. So I'm waiting there for the auction to begin, right? That's the one where I did my Christmas shopping this morning. I get a call from the judgment debtor. The judgment debtor calls me up and says, Mr. Isidro, can I pay you $1,500 a month? I said, sure. Because I take money. So I'm picking up $1,500 from him tomorrow. And he said, you know, Mr. Isidro, I really appreciate the fact that you're very professional, which I am. And you're very friendly, which I am. Could you help me on something? I said, yeah, what's the problem? I have a $25,000 judgment against a businessman who won't pay me. This is the greatest referral business in the world. Greatest referral business. I get referrals all the time. By the way, I told Steve that I'm close to taking over a $4 billion judgment, the largest civil judgment in California. Thanks to my buddy Greg for the contract. When it hits the news, it's going to be awesome. It's a $4 billion judgment. But it's the greatest referral business. I also, by the way, looked at this in 2001 and figured that this was a great way to build an annuity. There are rumors that over the years I have built an annuity of $2, $3, $4 million waiting for me. That's all those dollars are backed by real estate. And I'm going to tell you what that instrument is. Can you see why I'm so excited?
Yes.
This is a great business. Nobody knows about it. How many of you guys knew that there was such a business as a judgment enforcement? Oh, you did? You must have been to several of my classes.
No, but I'm working on some now.
Oh, you are? Good.
As a landlord, right?
You're right, as a landlord. But very few. You know, our association, been around for 20 years. We only have 85 members. That's a small association. And yet, this is the greatest business in the world because you can build an annuity, a multi-million-dollar annuity. And I'm going to share with you how I do that. The ability to build a monthly income stream. That guy's going to be paying me $1,500 a month for the next 10 months. I've got somebody else. Oh, you're going to love this. There's an attorney. Jay, you hearing this? This attorney owes me $48,000. This attorney happens to work for the California Attorney General's office. You ever heard of that? I'm yanking $2,500 a month out of his paycheck until the judgment's paid. I call those love letters. I've got a couple in my briefcase. They came in before we left. I get love letters all the time. Checks. Tons of checks. You have the ability to build a monthly income stream. You work once and you get paid a lot. Most people drive by a courthouse and shudder. Do you? You probably do, right? I drive by a courthouse and I see dollars. I was at Torrance Courthouse, picking up my jewelry. Right after, by the way, Alex, right after I walked out of the place with my jewelry, another bidder came up and said, I'll give you $8,000 cash right now for everything that you have. I said 15, he drove away. Judgment enforcement is it. If you want to build a business, judgment enforcement can make you a ton of money. But you got to do it the right way, and I can teach you how. All right. A money judgment is essentially this. Let's say that Steve and I are in business together. I get angry at Steve. I sue him. I win a judgment of $500,000 against Steve. That's a money judgment. But all that is a piece of paper that says that you are owed $500,000 judgment. The next step is to go after Steve, find his assets, find his weak points, and then nail him. Like Calvin and I did with this woman. This woman did not know what hit her. She said, you pulled all the money out of my checking account. Some of that was my grandchildren. I said, thank you very much. Tell them thanks. Because she owed the money. I have the legal right to take whatever is in her account. So that's what a judgment is. All right. I love case studies because case studies reveal how things are done. The original judgment creditor, that's what OJC stands for, is a non-English speaking woman who works as a maid. She doesn't speak English. She got ripped off by the JD, who operated in Encino a maid service and a nanny service company. You guys ever heard of those? Mm-hmm. All right. It's a sole proprietorship. The OJC sued a small claims in Chatsworth Court. It was for less than $5,000. I'm going to show you the small amount because I don't want to freak you out with the $900,000 judgments that we get. Okay? But this was for $5,000. What tool did I use to get myself $5,000? I use a bank levy. All a bank levy is I send the sheriff and then they tap on a certain day and take all the money that you have in your checking account, business account, whatever account you have. Do that every single day. I also use a judgment debtor exam or order to appear. This is the nuclear option. And I teach you how to perform one of these. Very few judgment enforcement specialists do that. I'm one of the ones that does it routinely. I have a student who, he couldn't be here tonight, but he wanted me to tell you guys that when he started this business, he knew absolutely nothing, but today he got himself about a monthly check. He's part-time of $10,000 a month. And I said, don't quit until you're making 20 grand a month. Okay? That's how much money Jeff makes in this business. But he uses a judgment debtor exam. You hear that, Greg? But there's a way to use this tool. And I teach my students how to use it. Because if you have a hammer, you can use it. But there's a certain way to throw that hammer, isn't there? Well, I show my students how to use this tool. Here's what happened. The bank levy was not effective because the original judgment creditor did not keep a lot of money in their checking account. Most small business owners do not keep money in their business accounts. They strip it every Friday. The original judgment creditor lived in Santa Barbara. She had a manager who handled the day-to-day affairs of the business. She only came down on Fridays. Because I knew that she came down to her office on Fridays to pick up the money, my registered process server served the judgment debtor on a Friday. Okay? Now how did I do that? Because I was sneaky. I called up and said, I need 4 nannies because I have 5 children. And I don't want to, hire anybody unless I talk to the boss. I want to see you eyeball to eyeball to see if I can trust you. She said, yes. Come on down, let's make an appointment. So I came down, and my RPS comes in. Are you so-and-so? Yes. Your service. Okay. Immediately, she wrote a check for the full judgment amount. Why? Because she was so concerned about having to drive down to court from Santa Barbara. She was so concerned that I would nail her on one of my judgment debtor exams. By the way, if you lie during a judgment debtor exam, there is a good possibility that I will ask the court to hold you in contempt and to throw you in jail overnight to think about it. Can I do it? Yes, I can. That's how I get paid. She didn't want to drive down. She didn't want to have to answer. Because everybody makes a mistake. And I nail people when they make mistakes. I'm a nice guy, but when it comes down to getting my money, I will steamroll a judgment debtor. Case number 2, OJC is an individual. The judgment debtor is dad and daughter. Daughter ran dad's car into the judgment creditor, damaging their car. Now, the judgment debtor owns a single-family residence. So the OJC sued the JD in 2000, small claims, okay, in West Covina. And the judgment was for less than $5,000, Steve. That's small claims, okay? The tools that I use to enforce a judgment, here it is. If you want to write one phrase down, write this down. Abstract of judgment, okay? Abstract of judgment. I also use the threat of the judgment debtor exam. And I also said, I have a beautiful letter. It's called intent to foreclose. I'll get into that in a second. I also was threatening to cancel the driver's license. By the way, did you know that if you are in an accident and then you're sued and then you lose and you have a judgment against you as a result of an accident on California Street, that I can cancel your driver's license? Now you know, right? Just that little threat, because we live in Southern California, we don't have that. We're not in New York. People don't want their driver's license canceled. I've got a lady coming in tomorrow because I told her, I said, you know, you gotta show me the money. I'm canceling your driver's license. So here's what happened in this case. At the JDX ORAP, the dad was very confrontational. Love it when people get mad at me. He told me that I was messing with the wrong guy. I gently informed him that I had the power to cancel the California driver's licenses. Dad and daughter offered to make payments of $150 a month. Now, I took that small amount, here's why. The dad was unemployed. How was he going to pay me, right? The daughter worked for fast food companies. I think it's McDonald's. And out of her paycheck, she's paying me $150 a month. Because she didn't want her driver's license canceled. 6 months later, this is so cool, I'm so happy for them, they send me Christmas cards now. Kid you not, they send me Christmas cards. She calls me up, she moves to Las Vegas because she's going to get married, and she calls me up and says, how much do I need to pay you in order to get out of this judgment? Because if you have a judgment against your credit report, you know how much that dings you? About 100 to 200 points. So if you value your FICO, you won't let a judgment go against you. Okay? So she wanted to buy a house. She couldn't qualify because her FICO was in the toilet. So guess what? I told her, this is the amount, pay me. She overnighted me the money. I released it, and they bought a house. Hopefully I'll be able to see them when I go to speak in Vegas. Okay? Number 3. The original judgment creditor is a printing business, a corporation. I love the next phrase. I specialize in going after attorneys. Any attorneys here? I go after you guys.
They don't want to identify themselves now.
I'm with the United States Tax Court.
What's that?
I'm with the U.S. Tax Court.
You are with the U.S. even more. IRS people have a special place in my heart. Government people, oh yes.
They told us we cannot owe anybody.
That's right. And this Attorney General, I don't know why he still has his job.
I don't either.
Because he should not, I should be garnishing his wages. Because he's an attorney, he's an attorney with the Attorney General's office. Right, Jay? Because most attorneys, if you have a judgment against you, you're in trouble with what? The Bar Association. Not the drinking one, but the one that, attorneys go to. All right. So the JD is an attorney. Watch this. The OJC sued the JD in Small Claims Burbank for more than $5,000. The tool that I use, a simple bank levy. The JD attorney screams when I take his money. He screams and he threatens to take me to court. He was going to file all sorts of stuff against me. And he accused me of lying to the judge. Why did he feel so heartily about that? Because he had money with his ex-wife in an account that I took all the money from. So I asked him, why are you holding money with your ex-wife? And number two, does your wife know? Because Mr. Attorney, I have the legal right to subpoena your financial records and your wife and your ex-wife all at the same time to answer questions, and we'll have a party in the courthouse. By the way, I've done that. I have subpoenaed exes to come in to answer questions regarding the finances of their ex. If you've never been in that kind of situation, it is like a comedy show. I just had a case recently where the judgment debtor was trying to hide the judgment from his wife, not ex, from his wife. Well, his wife came to court. And I asked the wife, did you know that your husband has this judgment against him? No. I said, and I turned to the judgment debtor, I said, why didn't you tell her? Well, my business is my business. And then I turned to her and I said, is that true? No. This is a fun business. By the way, he paid $4,500 down in a $10,000 bill. Okay? He's paying money. A little gentle persuasion. So this attorney gets so mad at me and accuses me of lying to a judge, and he never calls me again. He just goes away. Because he knew that I had it. Right, Jay? He knew that I had it. The original judgment creditor was happy when I cut them a check for their portion of the judgment. He refers another case to me against another lawyer. Okay? I enforce that other judgment. I love going after lawyers, especially because they have, what is that account that you gotta have, Jay, if you're a practicing attorney? Oh yeah, it's called a trust account. Trust me, I love trust accounts. Sitting ducks, low-hanging fruit. From time to time, here's the fun part. From time to time, a judgment debtor that makes me mad will be on my hit list. Because I will look for judgments against them for the rest of their natural life. Let me repeat that. People who cross me, I will look for judgments against them. Twice a year, I will look. If there's a judgment against that person, I will then buy that judgment. And then I will enforce it. You ever heard of that, Greg?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, we do that all the time. Okay? Case number 4. I love this story because this was a case where a very arrogant attorney didn't want to pay. Retired. Lives in Rancho Mirage. Man, what a gorgeous place that he had. So my RPS and I, one Saturday morning, because I had set up a judgment debtor exam for him, we drove all the way out to Rancho Mirage. We're sitting there, and we asked to serve the paper, and the guards keep us waiting for 20 minutes. Well, you know what they're doing, right? They're calling the judgment debtor and warning them that we're there. Okay? Because we have to serve the papers personally. Okay? No one answers at the door. So the RPS and I go to the clubhouse for breakfast. One of the benefits of this thing is that that's all a write-off. So we go to the clubhouse, have a nice breakfast. An hour later, we go back to the house. Lo and behold, the lights are on. The first time, no lights were on. And the wifey is in the kitchen preparing breakfast. So we walk up to the door, we knock on the door, she comes out, and we ask for so-and-so. She says, no one here by that name, no one lives here. At that very same moment, this is so funny, I still can remember. I'm standing behind my RPS, and RPS is standing there, and out comes Sheldon. That's his first name. I won't tell you his last name. Sheldon walks out a door, and then he starts walking down the hallway. My RPS yells out, "Hey, Sheldon!" "Yes?" "Yes, sir." See, this is a fun business. I enjoy it. I don't always wear a suit. I only wear it for you guys. Okay? Today I wore a really crummy outfit, didn't I, guys? Really filthy. I mean, I look like I'm destitute. I like that. The OJC, okay, is so appreciative that see, people are scared of attorneys. This OJC was a client of this attorney. And the OJC was scared to even call the attorney for his money. Believe it or not, you attorneys, you guys have this aura about you. Okay? I mean, I don't like it, but the point is that people are scared of attorneys. Attorneys, when they call me, and I'm going after one of their clients, Mr. Isidro, Mr. So-and-so. I say, "How you doing, man?" "How's it going?" "Oh, well, what do you need?" "Oh, yeah, you gotta pay." I deliberately talk like I'm an idiot. Because attorneys like to be Mr. or Mrs. Precise, right? Because that's who you're trained. Hey, I know that because my sister's an attorney. Every time I talk to my sister, it's like I'm in a depot. My brother-in-law is even worse. He's a law professor. He teaches criminal law. And he always we never have a conversation. He always asks questions. That's what's taught in law school, isn't it? The Socratic dialogue, right? So I know attorneys. Attorneys have this aura. This guy was so appreciative that he cried when I met with him because he was so scared. Yes, ma'am?
When you collect on these judgments, what portion of the judgment do you get versus the OJC gets? Like if it was a $5,000 judgment, how much are they getting? How much are you getting? Or is there interest added on?
Excellent question. Is there interest? Yes. Who gets the interest? Me. Okay? I keep all the interest. My contract reads, if it's a $40,000 judgment and it's 5 years old, it's 10%, by the way, per year in California. You know that, right? 10% per year. Simple interest. Okay? After 5 years, that's $20,000 in interest. That's all mine. And then the 40, we split 50-50. So I make 40 grand. Okay? Now, let me just, I got to share this with you because one of my students just sent me an email. This student of mine is in Honolulu. If you ever get to Honolulu, look Derek up. He is dominating the entire Honolulu market when it comes to judgments. Derek attended my class in Honolulu last summer. And for 2 years, he tried this business with zero success. And so I sat down with him. I said, okay, first of all, pay me. He paid me. I said, then do this, 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 and this. The first month he goes out and does it, he gets himself an $85,000 deal. And he starts enforcing it right away. He just sent me a letter, not a letter, but an email. Mr. Gray, tell all the people out there that this really does work. See, he just got paid this past week about $7,500. His goal is to get paid about $5 a week. Does he have competition? He has no competition in Honolulu. And here's why. Because very few people know about judgment enforcement in Honolulu. Okay? Here's another thing. I think at this point, what time do we have? Because I'm opening it up for questions. What time are we supposed to be done? 12 midnight?
9.
Oh, 9. That was 12 midnight. My son and I brought our camping gear. Let me tell you another story of one of my brand new, she hasn't enforced a judgment yet. but she's about to. Melody lives in Ventura. You guys know Melody, right? Melody is in her mid-60s. She's the sweetest person you can ever meet. Okay? And she got into this business. So she calls me up a couple of weeks ago and says, Mr. Gray, I am so ecstatic. I said, okay, what is it? Unless it's a diamond ring, I don't get that ecstatic. She goes, I'm getting a $150,000 judgment. Okay, that's good. But there's a debtor in jail or dead or whatever. No, he owns one of the biggest houses in Ventura. That's a better debtor. And I said, do you need help? She said, no, I'm going to do this all on my own. And I said, you're going to make a lot of money. Because that guy has a ton of money. You go after the debtor debtor. And Greg, there's another phrase that I coined and that I've copyrighted. The best and finest debtor. Who are those? Cities. Airlines. Banks. My 20-year-old just cashed 2 checks from 2 banks because he levied on their bank account. He got the judgment against them and he got paid. My oldest son over here is getting a check. Don't tell him, okay? He's going to make $3 grand on November 30th so he can buy Dad a nice Christmas present. But all he did was get a bank levy against, guess who? American Airlines. Do you think American Airlines has money?
Yep.
I teach my students how to cherry pick the low-hanging fruit. Okay? That's Derek and that's Melody. Now let me tell you something about how you can use a judgment. I think that now's the time, because I'm going to have my students over here be part of my panel. So, you know, I can take a rest and I can go to the bar and you guys can ask some questions. But here's the point. One of the most important things about this business is you got to have somebody to teach you. And it's a difficult business if you don't have a system. One of the things that that we have done is we have instituted a program where our students are going to be able to buy properties from people and force them into foreclosure. It's a pre-foreclosure thing. Would you like to hear about that for a second? Okay. My student, Nancy, is going to get that $150,000 judgment. It's against a landlord who's got 28 units. She's going to enact a strategy called a notice of levy strategy. It's a court order ordering the tenants to pay their rent to her rather than to the landlord. Let me repeat that. Have you ever heard of that? It's called a notice of levy strategy. We're going to order the tenants by court order to pay their anti-rent every month to her until the judgment is paid. That $150,000 judgment is a large judgment. The average rent that these people pay, because they're not in the high rent area, is $800 a month. Somebody figure 800 times 25. What is that? Okay? 800 from each tenant, 25. Pretty soon. How much?
20,000.
So 20 grand. It's going to take 7 months, and that doesn't include interest, 8 months. What do you think is going to happen to the finances of that landlord?
They'll crumble.
What's that?
They'll crumble.
We just destroyed it. Then she said, then what do I do? I said, then what you do is you become an angel. You quietly go up to him and say, you know what? I'm going to take all your money. But I don't want you to suffer. I'm going to help you. I'm going to save your FICO. So we call this the Save Your FICO strategy. What we're going to do is we're going to take over your building. You're going to quit claiming to us. And what you're going to do is you're going to silently walk away. But one beautiful thing is you don't have a judgment against your name. Because a judgment drops your FICO score 100 to 200 points. Now she's going to be the first one enacting this. But it is a glorious kind of thing. So my sons and I said, you know what we're going to do? We got a list of all landlords in the Pasadena area. That's where I live. I live in the ghetto part of area of Pasadena. We have gunfire every night. You know, but seriously, we're going to be enacting this strategy because our goal, my son's goal, my goal is to buy single-family residences. I'm now back in real estate. I got out of it because I got sick and tired of having to deal with tenants. Seriously. So why am I getting back into it? Because, Jay, there is a concept called the residential care facility for the elderly, isn't there?
As a matter of fact, that's right.
You guys are familiar with RCFEs? If I own a single-family residence today, I would turn it into an RCFE. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to use judgments to pick up houses and turn them into RCFEs. You can do this with a judgment. You can't do it with any other concept, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Greg. Because with a judgment, we can force somebody into a sheriff sale, right? We can force a sale of their real estate.
Effectively, yeah.
Yeah, effectively, right? I can force a judgment debtor who owns real estate into a sale. And it's held down at Stanley Moss, downtown LA, and it's held once a week, and there are bidders in there. Think about what you can do with a judgment. With a judgment, I can force somebody to give me their property. It is the most radical idea, and my students and I are formulating this thing because we want to start enacting this in 2018. You guys got to get ready. Because we have a sale in February, I think. I told you about, I have a $300,000 judgment against a fellow who owns several units, 15 units in South El Monte or El Monte. And I'm forcing the sale. I'm going to take over his property. Yes, ma'am.
If you're forcing a sale, it's like a trustee sale, right?
It's not a trustee sale, it's a sheriff sale.
Sheriff sale.
Yes.
Either way, it still goes to like an auction, so how do you skip the auction?
I don't skip the auction. What I will do is, because I'm in control of the whole deal, is I will contact the positions ahead of me and buy them out.
Well, but you still have to be there at the auction, so you still would have other bidders, right?
Sure. But at least I know that I'm in control of it. And if somebody outbids me, you know what happens? I get paid the $300,000. My wife will be happy. I mean, it's a win-win. This is one of the radical strategies. You know, if you want to change for 2018 the way you do business, you've got to use different kinds of methodologies to get ahead. And I'm showing you and sharing with you a methodology where you don't have to wait for things to happen. You make things happen. Now, the question is, do you have it in you to make it happen? Can you look at somebody and see them walk away and you just took their property? That's hard, right? Some of us can't do that. But then again, some of us can. Because one of the things that I believe in is justice. A judgment means that somebody wronged somebody else. And people who don't pay their judgments get away with it all the time. 80% of judgments never get enforced. Because there aren't enough of us in this business to do it all. And if you have a judgment, and let's say you have a $25,000 judgment and you need an attorney, are you going to be paying a retainer to that attorney to go after your judgment debtor? The answer is yes. So, question, are you willing to throw good money after bad? Especially if you don't know whether they have assets or not. Calvin Lynn, you're still flipping properties, right?
Yes.
Every time he flips a property, sometimes, not every time. But you got somebody who stays there, right? And you got to kick them out? And before you met me, what did you do with that?
Just have to go through the legal process and we file eviction.
That's right. But then you got to take a second step. Anybody here ever gone through the eviction process with their tenant? There are two steps, right? What's the first step? Where you get control of the property, right? The second step is to get the money judgment. Most people don't take the second step. That's why landlords lose money. If you're a landlord, you need to know how to enforce a judgment. Because sooner or later, you're going to lose money to a bad tenant. And I believe in justice. I'm one of those guys, you know, my motto is justice through the enforcement of judgments. Because I've had people, I have one case where the lady and her husband didn't speak English, they're Chinese, they got run into by a guy, and he had no insurance, and he could care less because he thought that he could get away with it. Well, they sued him. They each sued him for $9,000. They didn't have money to hire an attorney to go over $10,000. They waited a couple of years. Finally, they called me. And I sat down with him and I said, with her son acting as interpreter, were you hurt physically? Yes, we were. Did your health insurance cover a lot of your costs? No, we had to pay out of our pocket.
Oh.
I said, you know what? And did the guy contact you? He just laughed at us. That burns me. Okay? That burns me. My attitude in that case is I'm going to go after that guy. And I did. And I got to tell you the story because he's now become a friend.
Does that happen every time?
What's that?
Does that happen every time?
No.
Okay.
But you know what? That's a good question. Does it happen? I have become good friends with judgment debtors who pay. And they have told me this: we respect you because you work with us.
Yeah.
Because I am. I do everything according to the law. And I tell them, this is what I'm going to do. Like this guy this morning. I told him, I can shut your business down. I don't want to do that. Just pay me. I don't want to have the sheriff come in and take everything in your office and then put it in someplace and store it. Because I can do that. I don't want to do that. But this guy, when I called him up, I told him, you owe these people money. He says, I'm not going to pay. I'm dying of AIDS. And he was. Worked for the post office. I canceled his driver's license that really hurt because he's a postman. I canceled his driver's license. He comes begging to me and said, I can only pay $100 a month. I said, no, you're not paying $100 a month. You owe Mr. So-and-so $9,000 and Mrs. So-and-so $9,000. You have a 401k, don't you? Yeah. You're going to borrow that money. Or else I'm going to cancel your driver's license. Within 30 days, we got a check for $19,000. Okay? He retires. Oh, by the way, the judgment creditors, the Chinese couple, love me. You know, they buy me those New Year's stuff. You guys know those cakes? Yep. Yeah, they buy me cakes. Seriously, you know, my judgment creditors are really, because they've been wronged. Come on. If you've been wronged, how would you feel? How would you feel if somebody laughs at you in court and said you'll never get paid? And you were wrong. I get emotional about it because some of these people are really scumbuckets. And I got another case that came in today. Yes, ma'am.
You said earlier that you kind of learned less and go after the debtors who've got the money. I imagine there's a bunch of us landlords in this room, and our judgments are against tenants who weren't paying. And so going after them is kind of like getting blood out of the stone. They went through the process, but they didn't have money, that's why they lost their place to live. So
Wait, this is a tenant that you sued? They didn't have any money?
yeah, when you go through an unlawful detainer, most of the time it's that they're not paying the rent.
Right, unlawful detainer, they're not paying the rent, right.
Not paying the rent. So then you get judgment against them.
Then you get a money judgment, right.
Money judgment, but they didn't have any money to pay the rent in the first place. That's how they ended up in this
So they're in trouble.
situation. Yeah, so do you get much success going after tenants with unlawful detainers?
Do I? I have a whole bunch of property management firms that send me all their judgments all the time. I do. Because I've spoken in so many places. I'll tell you this, but let me finish with our buddy. He's dying of AIDS, and 6 months ago he moved and retired in Arizona. He keeps in touch with me. And because, you know, I feel for him too. I feel for him. Because he's got AIDS. And so, you know, I said, Ron, you know, you need any help, just give me a call. We have become friends, but only after we pay. Okay? But getting back to what you asked me, do I make money going after people who have no money to pay the rent? That's what you're really asking, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Yes and no. I'll tell you of a case. I waited a total of 6-7 years before I got paid. Okay? This was a guy, he and his buddies rented a house. They were in college. They didn't have any money. But the property manager is instructed, anytime that happens, get the UD and get the money judgment. And then they assign it to me. And then what happens is that because it's not a better debtor, Greg, okay? I wait. I waited 7 years. I waited 10 years. Okay? 7 years goes by, I hit his bank account, he's now an engineer with the Los Angeles City. He forgot about me. Okay? I got paid. I have waited 10 years. This guy disappeared on me. He went couch surfing for 10 years. He's a real estate agent. Okay? In 2005, he got his real estate license, and then the economy hit, and he went through a bad stuff. Okay? I waited 10 years. I renewed the judgment, because in California, each judgment, you can renew it before the 10 years runs out, right? You guys know that, right?
Yeah, what?
All the interest is mine. 10 years of interest. Okay? Here's what happened. So I'm looking for him again. And lo and behold, beautiful thing happened to him. He had a come to Jesus moment. He married a wonderful gal, and I saw her wedding pictures on Facebook. And I saw that he had a wonderful job managing a little company. And his wife also had a wonderful job. I subpoenaed him to come and answer questions, and I also did what is called a wage garnishment. And I said, I may subpoena your wife if you don't mind. He begged me. He was crying. This was in Downey Court. He begged me, Mr. Isidro, please, don't do that to my wife. Why not? I just got married. I don't want her to be dragged into court because of my debt. I said, then you're not going to bother about filing a motion to vacate, which is what people do. They file this motion saying that they didn't know about the judgment, so they're asking the court to vacate it, get rid of the judgment. You're not going to file anything. Oh no, Mr. Isidro, in fact, when I have extra money, I'm going to pay you. He paid me that. Okay? And you're absolutely right. Whoever asked that question, people need time. And I take on those cases, Greg. Yes, Greg.
It's important to keep in mind, if you're looking at doing this as a business, instead of being a landlord, it's a different perspective, because as the landlord, you get the people that you get. And you can't be too picky or you won't keep the place full. But when we're looking for a judgment enforcement business, we can say, no, I don't want that judgment. So it is a little bit different. But I would also say there's a lot of serial judgment debtors nowadays. And they will lie on their application, so you can't do a proper background check. You pay for a background check, it's inaccurate. They only pay a third of the real rent over a period of 5 years because they've learned how to work the system. So you've got those things in play, you know. Like you said, it's yes and no.
Yeah. Everybody understand that I have a staff. I have several people who work under me. I only give them the low-hanging fruit. Like my son, they don't do any of the stuff, fun stuff that I do. Theirs is boring. They just hit a bank and get paid. Okay? That's boring. Okay? I like to go up and have conversations with debtors. I like to know where they live. I like to see what kind of car they drive. I want to see their house. I have a judgment against a guy who's a multimillionaire in Downey. Okay? I got the judgment. I filed an abstract of judgment. I'm going to talk about this now because this is the instrument that you guys need to know about. I filed an abstract of judgment. An abstract of judgment is a lien on all his real property in Los Angeles County or whatever county he has property in. I file that with the county recorder's office and it attaches to any and all of his real estate. Pretty cool, huh? Well, he decides to do the wonderful thing that a lot of judgment debtors do. He files for bankruptcy. He gets discharged. That means then that my judgment is unenforceable. It doesn't disappear. It becomes unenforceable. But what happened to my lien? It's still there. Because something magical happens. Here's what happens. He filed bankruptcy 6 months after I filed that lien. He should have done it within 90 days of when I filed it. Right, Greg?
Yep.
He did it 6 months later, which means that my lien has cured. Which means that for the rest of his life, if he tries to refi, I get paid that $400,000. It's a $2 million home in Downey. Okay? The first is around $200,000. I'm second at $400,000. What a gorgeous thing an abstract of judgment is. Okay, where do you find abstracts of judgments? You find them at the county. It's free. What we used to do is we used to go down to the county and look at the dates, and then we put in abstracts of judgments, and we call all the people who have those judgments. We try to buy that. An abstract of judgment is a lien against all real property that a judgment debtor has in a county. And if you own that abstract of judgment, here's where the fun begins. When that judgment debtor dies, you are now a secured creditor in the estate. That means that if somebody else writes a letter saying, I want to buy your property, that executor more than likely dumps that letter in the round file. But because you own that abstract of judgment, they are legally required to call you. So we look for abstracts of judgments. That is such a powerful instrument. We buy those abstracts. I sometimes pay $200 for a judgment, cash. I bought a judgment recently, $20,000. I paid $200 cash. Yes, ma'am.
Quick question. When you say you buy it, can you buy it and somebody else buy it, or how does that work?
A judgment is an asset. And there's nothing that says that they can't sell it to me for $200. And I can buy judgments all day.
From the courts?
Yes. We have a document that allows you to transfer it to you. That $20,000 judgment that I just recently bought is against a guy who owns a small business, I think in Sunland or something that way. I'm going to get paid on it. But I paid $200. How much can I lose? Yeah, but then I'll go sell my wife diamond ring that I got her today. But seriously, you can buy judgments. You can negotiate to take over the judgments, the abstract. And if you have an abstract and somebody dies, that executor of that estate has to talk to you by law. Now imagine the power you have now. Because one of the best places to buy real estate at deep discounts is when somebody's dead, right? The probate. I've been told by friends of mine who are in that business that if they can get an audience with the executor, they've got a good shot at buying it at 50% of R or less. I'm not in real estate game, but can you imagine buying a piece of property at 50% of R or less? I mean, the ideal is 70%, right? So with an abstract of judgment, if somebody dies, you have the power to make sure that you have your voice heard. You had a question.
When you mentioned that you can negotiate to take over the abstract of judgment, so meaning you can contact the abstract owner?
The original judgment creditor.
Right.
Right. Contact them by phone.
And say, let's negotiate, I'll do the work to find the guy for you, and give me X, or do you have to pay them in order to be able to?
Okay, let me tell you, I'll give you my phone script. This is worth about $10,000. Jerry, right? Hey, Jerry, you own a judgment against Prima. Prima's dead. Your judgment's dead. I'd like to offer you $200 right now.
You got it.
That's what people say, oh, they're dead. People think that they can't go after the estate. Isn't that cool? Think about that. How many of you want to buy properties from dead people? Okay. That is the best methodology, I am told, by pros in that business to get in front of the decision maker. Because they're required by law to talk to you. Okay? Did you have another question? So that's what I say.
Okay.
I say, Jerry, your judgment debt, you have a judgment and the judgment debtor's dead. You know, but I know how to resurrect people, so I'll give you $200 right now, cash. I get that. It's
Stick it out.
they've been waiting for a come to Jesus moment from the judgment debtor. They've been waiting, they've been looking every morning in the mirror, hoping that that judgment debtor wakes up and has a conscience attack that says, oh, I owe Jerry money, I better call him and pay him. Doesn't happen. So people give up on that judgment. Yes, sir?
Just the fact that you're asking me for $200, wouldn't that put something in my mind and say, why is he offering me $200 if it's not a potential, there's something going on?
Sure. So ask me the question.
Yeah, why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because I know how to resurrect the dead.
Okay, so
Because I can make money.
why wouldn't I want to?
Because you don't know how to make money.
Yeah, but I'd find out.
Okay, then take several years to do that. In the meantime, that estate's got to be settled in the next 6 months.
So you make
Devil's
$200.
advocate, you know?
I know, but I get that all the time. I can learn this. Sure you can. I can learn to be a brain surgeon too. But it's not my gig. No, seriously, that's what people, I've had people tell me, well, what's in it for you? My sons have cold called. And people say, and hang up on them and say, I'm on a do not call list. All we're trying to do is make them money, and they hang up on us. Do we quit? No, because we'll call them next year. I have called people 15 times, and finally they give me a call. Oh, did we talk before? Yeah, 15 times. Oh, we did? It's called persistence. I got started in business as a 21-year-old when I first came to California. I was 21 years old, a long time ago. My first job was selling life insurance door to door for Prudential Life in South Central LA. Wow. South Central LA. 21-year-old kid.
It was safe back then.
It was safe back then, yeah.
Yeah, right.
There were so many times I probably would have been mugged, except for the fact that I like to joke. But let me tell you, I learned one thing, because I was 21 years old, I was desperate. Nobody was hiring back in the 70s. Those of you probably weren't born in the 70s, so you don't know. The point is, there were no jobs in the 70s. The only job I could get was a life insurance agent for the Prudential Life Insurance Company of America. Full commission, 21 years old. I was driving a Bug, a VW Bug, okay, with no tailpipes and with rust on the side, because I just came from Illinois. I learned how tough this world can be. And that's why I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want to be chasing houses. I've had my students or realtors say, it's so hard, inventory is so hard, but let's create our own inventory for crying out loud. Okay? Steve, I'll get to you next.
Ray, frankly, you're kind of an impressive guy. You're a boxer. You might be an attorney the way you're dressed. What if I'm a...
Don't ever call me that, please.
What if I'm a meek little soft-spoken guy or gal, introverted, very fearful, maybe I don't even speak very good English? Can I still do this business?
Oh, absolutely. Talk to my son, who's 20 years old. I think I spoiled my boys. I spoiled them. Okay? He's 20 years old. He doesn't want to go to court. Kyle doesn't want to go to court. I'll go to court. But all they do, and I teach you guys this. You guys know this. What do we go after? The low-hanging fruit. We find judgments against banks. I love suing banks. We find judgments against cities. The city of Burbank is constantly being sued. I don't know why. So yes, if you don't want to be in a confrontational position where you have to talk to the judgment debtor, you can do it in this business. Look at my sons. They don't have to talk to anybody. I've got her and I'll get to you.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Thank you.
Quick question, when the people die and you call to get the judgment from them, so you call in the other people and say, oh, can I get it? Well, just say if the house goes up for auction, because it's over or a wholesaler comes in and buys it. So do you get paid your initial $200 or you get to pay the whole judgment?
That's a great question. I bought a $10,000 judgment against a dead person. I bought it for $200. My deal was not accepted. The house was sold. I got paid 10 grand. Did that answer your question? I win. I win either way. It don't matter to me. Yeah, seriously. I mean, look, there's $7.2 trillion in Los Angeles. Don't you guys go to Los Angeles, okay? That's my territory. Stay down here in Orange County, or whatever county. I have a buddy who goes up to one of these small counties, and he tells me this story. He said, I went up to the small county, I walked into the courthouse, and I asked him if I could look at the judgment files. And then he said, you know what, there's such a small county that even the judge came out and talked to me. The DA came out and talked to me. And they said, we need you up here. Yes, well, yeah.
On these judgments, you go to somebody who has this abstract, and you say, I want to buy it for $200 because the party is now dead.
Okay,
then, and the judgment is say $10,000.
okay,
You collect on that judgment.
Right.
Now, you've made $10,000 plus interest.
Right.
Of that. Are you obligated in any way to go back to that person that sold it and give them any portion of that? Or
what was the deal? 200 bucks, it's mine. He sold it to me for 200 bucks. By the way, I also get judgments assigned to me where I get 100% of it. Did you hear me, Greg? I get judgments where people just give it to me
Why would someone do that?
because they don't care. They've been waiting. This is a story. I'm going after a guy in January. He inherited his mom's property in Pasadena. He borrowed money from his girlfriend. She sued him. 9 years ago, she goes to Texas. Okay? I located her in Texas. I called her out of the blue. I said, you know, you got a judgment against, oh yeah, that piece of, You know, he lied to me, he's such a sweet talker. I said, you want revenge? I can give you revenge. Yeah, but how much is it going to cost me? Just give me the judgment and then I'll let you know that I got him. You guys looking at me like, this guy's BSing us. No, it's true. I just got paid on a judgment that was assigned to me. The guy said, I don't care if I get any money back. I just want to be there in court when you beat on him at a judgment debtor exam. So I did. You're looking at me like you've never heard this before? Seriously, nobody's come in and talked to you guys about this stuff?
I think this is my first class, so.
Okay.
They're judgments, I mean, they went to court, somebody just said, hey, you did wrong.
Right.
You deserve it.
And I get so many judgments. I got one from a guy who's in Tempe, Arizona, against a landlord here. And I told him, I said, look, Aziz, his name's Aziz. Aziz, it's going to be hard going against a landlord because number one, he doesn't own the property. See, there's a scam on Craigslist. You guys have heard of that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he got scammed. I said, we're never going to collect. Well, he ripped me off. I said, look, that's low on the totem pole for me. I got other stuff I'm doing. But I will help you because I feel for you. But I can't do it for a 50-50 split because he wanted a 50-50 split. I said, why don't you just give me the judgment and then when I have the judgment debtor exam, I'll video it. And I'll make him cry. I've been known in court, and judges that know me, I make people cry. Grown men cry too. There's an art to this. I don't expect people to know it right away. I've honed this skill for 17 years. Okay? You're laughing. I make people cry. I seriously do. And the power of subpoenas, because I can subpoena pretty much anybody. If I believe that you owe my judgment debtor or own $250 of assets or more and holding it on behalf of the judgment debtor, I will subpoena you. You're going to go, what am I doing here? So I don't know, I just wanted to hear it. Seriously, I can subpoena anybody. You never heard that, did you? Greg, have you ever heard that? You do. Sure. We can subpoena anybody with a judgment. Because I want to put pressure, I want justice, I want that judgment creditor to be paid. Because they've been harmed, they've been damaged. And there are very few of us in this world who know how to do this. Yes, ma'am, you've been waiting patiently.
How about trustee sale after the property is sold and trustee sale?
You're asking about a trustee sale?
Yes. What
And-
happens to the judgment?
Because I'm secured, I get paid.
Even from whom?
Well, if it's a trust, I'm sorry. I just had a brain fart. Kyle, I need water.
No.
Oh, it's up there. Trustee sale, I get wiped out. first forecloses. Anybody in a position ahead of me forecloses, I get wiped. That's part of the game. I lose out. Okay? But I win a lot. You know, Babe Ruth, they said for many, many years until Hank Aaron beat him out, hit the most home runs in a career, didn't he? But people forget that Babe Ruth struck out more than anybody else did. I strike out. Okay? I'm not the kind of person that wins all the time. I strike out. You love the story. I mean, I have a $275,000 judgment against an Indian restaurant. It's a fantastic Indian restaurant. They got great food. I've been there. Because when I have a judgment debtor who owns a restaurant, I like to go in there and eat their food. Because if the food's good, I'll go after it. $275,000 judgment. They're Indians. There are 4 people on the judgment. Husband and wife, and 2 other people. Husband and wife, when I hit their bank account, they immediately file for bankruptcy. Do you know why? Because I tapped their safe deposit box. I asked one of my students who's Indian, I said, dude, why'd they do that? He said, because Indians who own restaurants have gold and cash. Crap, I lost out on that. I really did. I wanted to see what was inside the safe deposit box. But because of the bankruptcy state, I couldn't go and get it. But that's not the end of the story. The other 2 guys own rentals. You know where I'm going, right? I've got the writ of execution waiting, and it's gonna order their renters to pay me their rent until the judgment's paid. $275,000 is a lot of money. It's going to force those people, because I know this, most landlords do not have a huge cash reserve. Would you agree? You miss 6 months, you're in the toilet, aren't you? Well, this guy, the rents are $2,000 a month. It's in Burbank. How many months is it going to take him to pay me $275,000? That's a lot of months. So I'm offering to be his angel. And when I get together with him, I'm going to say, let me save you. I want to be your friend. Okay? I don't want an adversarial relationship, because, you know, I gotta do my job. I gotta get paid. But I don't want you mad at me either. I'm just doing my job. Okay? That's all I'm doing. Why don't you walk away, you hand me the keys, you sign it over to me, and I'll take over your property. It's going to happen in January or February. 2 houses. Okay? Which becomes 2 RCFEs. Right, Jay? So, yes, ma'am.
Good question. Did you buy this from somebody, or?
No, it's a 50-50 split.
So, are you going to pay them their half and you keep the property?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
I want the property. So I'll have to borrow money from my son's accounts to pay him off.
But would the other people, the 50-50 portion, would they say, no, I want some of the house too? Could they do that?
They could ask, but my answer is no. Because once the judgment creditor assigns me the judgment, they assign it totally, all rights. I am totally in control. None of this. Most people have never heard of this methodology that I'm sharing with you. And Steve is wanting me to speak all over the place, because most people have never heard of this. Now, I've got some students here. You guys have any questions for them? Are you guys okay to answer some questions? Any of you want to ask questions over there? Yes, sir.
Just on that last deal, so there's a possibility he could refi and pay you off.
Always a possibility. He could file for bankruptcy,
yeah,
like his business partner did. Okay? Or he could shoot himself. I don't know. But the point, there's so many possibilities.
And then you go out to the estate.
Scott, can you stand up? That's my bodyguard. Yes, you have a question.
Can you describe your class or the program?
My class, 1997, one-day training, December 9th.
Wow. One day.
In Pasadena. All you need is one deal and you'll get all your money back. January 2997. Okay? But that's not the best part. The best part is the monthly meetups that we have. The monthly meetups is where deals are made. I have students who miss the meetups and they don't know what's going on. Come to the meetups. Part of that also is that I am local, I am available. My students know. Patty knows. She emails me at 11 o'clock at night, 29 questions. I answer 28. Right, Patty?
Then I called for the 29th.
What's that?
Then I called you for the 29th answer.
Then she called me for the 29th. By the way, Patty is one of my students, and you got a $65,000 deal that you're gonna start wage garnishment on. When are you gonna do that, Patty?
I'll file the paperwork this week.
Okay.
I don't have time, I have a full-time job. So.
Yeah. See, most of the students start out part-time. I'm full-time. Okay. A lot of your judgment enforcement people in the state of California are part-time. I'm fortunate that I have a system where I make pretty decent money. Okay? And the way I describe that is I take 3 months off every year. Okay? And my wife and I got back from vacation 3 weeks ago. She wants to go on another one. Because to me, you know, I want to enjoy my life. I don't work hard. To be honest with you, I work 20 hours a week. 20 hours. And the reason why is because I box in the morning, right, Scotty?
Sir.
I'm in the boxing gym, and we get out at about noon. Okay? We should have brought some gloves tonight, done some drills. I missed boxing this morning because I was at that auction. I work 20 hours a week. And I told Steve, I said, I do not allow myself to work more than that. Because then it becomes work to me. But I have to make my time valuable. I turn away more judgments than I take on. Okay? And the reason why this business is so good is because I have learned how to make it happen. It's just like you guys in your businesses. You know how to make it happen. You go, it's automatic, right, Calvin? Calvin knows that in his business, what's the first thing that you do every day, Calvin? Besides looking at making coffee.
I'm trying to take it easy as well.
You can't. When you start in this business, there's a big learning curve. But I'm there, and my people are there because we help each other out. And this is the fun part, making the money. Did you have a question, ma'am? I'll get to you.
Yeah, I got here kind of late.
Okay, that's a $50 fee. Pay it to Jay.
How do you obtain your students? I mean, if we want to learn how to do this, how do you decide who you take on as students, or do you have an actual formal class that you teach?
Oh yeah, we have a formal class, don't we, guys? It's an 8-hour, and sometimes it goes to 10 hours, 11 hours, because I spend time.
Do you charge for the class too?
You're late.
The question is, do I charge for the class?
Yes.
The last time I gave something away for free was when I was 2. I do. It's a cheap $19.97. Not $19.97, $1,997. Okay? Get in up before, because it is true, next year I'm raising the price. I have to raise the price simply because I've been told by a lot of other gurus who teach that my fee is cheap. Because when a student of mine makes $10,000 on a case, they made their money back. And then I'm still being contacted by students. I still go out with my students. I'm going to court next week with one of my students, just to help them out. I don't get paid on that. But one of the things that we need more professional judgment enforcement people in California. $7.2 trillion is a lot of money. We don't have enough. Look, to be honest, there are enough people playing the real estate game. Enough people playing the real estate game. I don't want to play in that game, it's too crowded. I'm one of those pioneers that, my neighbor's within 40 miles, I'm leaving. You have a question, you've been waiting.
Well, I just wanted to let you know that you have until 9 to do anything you want. However, we did start you about 45 minutes early, so when you finish and if it's early, that's okay.
Yeah, because I'll be here because I want to answer questions.
About probate.
Because this is all new, so you guys, ask me anything. Just don't ask me how much money I have in my wallet. Okay, did you have a question? One of you? Yes, ma'am.
So 1 day is enough of a class?
No.
Oh.
The question is, 1 day is enough in the class to learn everything? No. That's why every month we meet. And whenever you have a deal, you call me.
Okay.
And I walk you through it.
And these monthly meetups, how long are they?
Gosh, I've been there 4 hours because I had students who had so many questions.
Yep.
Where are they?
In Pasadena. Yeah. And I have students in Hawaii. And they... No. I told them, just call me. Yes, and then I'll follow up with you.
Can you give us an idea of how much you spend your time on each phase of handling judgment? So finding a judgment, I imagine you have to find the creditor, you have to find the debtor, all this stuff. How much time do you spend on these different pieces?
Okay. Kyle over there spends about an hour a week finding judgments. Because he's got a full-time job. I told him, don't work hard yet. I want you to have at least $25,000, $30,000 in the bank, which you'll have next year. Then quit your job. Okay? We spend less than an hour, 2 hours finding enough judgments. You know why? Because we have a service called Unicourt. And we can run the name of American Airlines and all the judgments in California come up. It's called Unicourt. This is so easy. It used to be I would go down to the courthouse and look through every stinking file.
Wow.
Unicourt. That's what we use. And then we run cities, we run counties. We have a judgment that just came in today against LA Metro. Do you think LA Metro has money?
Yes.
Is that, you know how many hours Josh, my 20-year-old, is going to spend on that case? He's probably going to spend 3 hours, max. And you know how much that case is worth? It's worth over $8,000. I kid you not, I teach it differently, and Greg Roberts here is a long-time judgment enforcement specialist, and he hasn't paid me yet because I haven't beat on him. But he's learned a lot of new stuff from me, but he's been in the business a long time. I teach it differently, I teach it better. People make more money because I've simplified the whole process. If you have a judgment against LA Metro, do you think that they're gonna not pay? They're going to pay you. I have a 4-bank levy strategy that hits the 4 major banks. And every time we do that, money is sent back to the judgment debtor because we took too much. American Airlines called me to complain. I got a call from their legal department in Texas. They said, Mr. Isidro, you can't do what you're doing. And my question to her was this. What section of the California Code of Civil Procedure says that I cannot levy on more than one bank at a time? Crickets. 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 Well, Mr. Isidro, we don't know anything about this judgment. Your agent for service of process, CT Corp, was served. Crickets. Crickets. Well, we don't believe we owe you this money. That's fine. It's a 7-year-old judgment. You had 6 months from the date of judgment that was served on CT Corp. You sat on your rights. What are you going to do? Well, we're going to hire local counsel. This actually happened last week. Okay? So guess what? I said, you can do whatever you want, but if you hire local counsel and you drag my butt in the court because it's stupid, I'm going to turn around and sue you. Crickets. Crickets. Lisa Magdaleno is her name. She works out of legal for American Airlines in Texas. Google her. It's here. Lisa, obviously you don't know anything about the laws in California, do you? Obviously you don't realize that what you are doing could put American Airlines in a bind with me. Now, I don't know, Greg, on what basis I would sue them, but I'm just saying. Because a good attorney says that, right? At least that's what my brother-in-law told me. Here's what happened. I get a call yesterday. Mr. Isidro, your money's coming. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's not my money, it's Kyle's money. Hopefully he buys Dad a Christmas present with it. Right, Kyle? Oh, yeah, and he wants that Omega watch. You're a millennial. Millennials don't wear watches. Yes, ma'am. Yes. You want to sign it to me?
So my question is this, so maybe what your recommendation is, I can take a class for $2,000 and learn how to collect the judgments.
Exactly.
Or I
Yeah.
could say, oh, 50-50, you do it. Or maybe either one of us would collect, because maybe the person has their money, or maybe it'll be 9 years from now and he'll pay her.
Exactly.
All these scenarios.
All these scenarios.
So how do I know like which direction to go?
My suggestion to every landlord is this. So knowledge is power. You need the knowledge so that, number one, Mr. Landlord, you guys know who Mr. Landlord is?
Yeah.
He invited me to speak at their last convention, so. They don't have anybody who speaks about how to prevent yourself from getting a bad tenant. And if you do have a bad tenant, what pieces of information should you get? Knowledge is power. Instead of always losing money to that, learn how to do it yourself. That's what incentivized me back in 2001. Because I hated parting with my money. I paid an attorney in Pasadena an ungodly amount of money to chase a judgment. And then after he got the judgment, I said, where's my money? He looked at me and says, well, no, I got you the judgment. You got me the judgment, but where's my money? And so he goes, no, you're going to pay me again. By the way, that's what attorneys do. Any attorneys in here?
No one's going to admit it not.
Soon to be one.
Soon to be one? Oh, I feel for you. My best friend is a judge in Alaska. He and I have been friends since '65, so we're pretty old. Kevin is his name. Kevin keeps telling me, man, I can't wait to retire. I want to do that in Alaska. What you're doing? I said, Kevin, come on down, just pay me $3 grand. I charge my friends money. Was there a question here? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about bankruptcy.
Soon to be attorney?
Sir, yeah. Yes. Hopefully.
Gosh. Hear that, Jay?
Yeah, I heard that.
You hear it? Okay.
Well, there's the bar exam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've been in the industry for 22 years, working with attorneys. My question is, when we encounter something like this in bankruptcy and we file adversary proceedings and defendant is your creditor, would you put it on?
Depends on the facts. The question is this: if a judgment debtor goes into bankruptcy, is there a possibility that I would file an adversary proceeding? That's your question, right? The possibility is absolutely yes. The reality is I don't really care. Because I will waste my time sitting there on 9th Street or 7th Street, where they meet for bankruptcy, and waste my time. I used to go down there But today, my philosophy is this: I'm not going to waste my time. Let me find another judgment to go after. I'm not going to fight somebody going through bankruptcy. Now, maybe Greg fights them. I don't. I want to make money. Okay? I don't get paid sitting down there listening to the trustee and listening to everybody's case. If you've ever been down there, it's boring. I'd rather go up to the hills and shoot my guns. It's more fun. Steve.
We started out tonight talking about diamonds and watches, and I'm unclear on how you get diamonds and watches.
There's a rumor, Jay, that 7, 8 years ago, I drilled a safe deposit box. In it was one item and a bunch of paperwork. I went down to the auction and I bid $100. The watch is a Patek Philippe.
Ooh.
Do you guys know what a Patek Philippe is?
Yes.
It's the watch.
Yes.
The fair market value today of that watch is $85,000. It's in my safe. That's how I get those things, Steve. I do what's called a bank levy, and in my sheriff's instructions, and I can teach you this, I instruct the sheriff to take hold of any safe deposit boxes. That's how I got the 2 diamond rings, a 2-carat diamond ring. My wife claimed that already. The 1-carat diamond ring, she claimed that too. Kyle wants the Omega. I'll probably give it to you. Don't keep working. That's how I get this stuff. Okay? Now we want to go after real estate big time. Before it was like, I get paid fine. Now I really want that house because I want to turn it into an RCFE, because then I can provide housing for 6 seniors, right, Jay?
Can you explain what RCRP is again?
Residential care facility for the elderly. Rather than renting to a family, I want to now rent to seniors. Number 1, seniors don't party.
And you don't want to rent to them, you want them to be your residents.
You want, yes, that's a key word. They're not renters, they're your residents, right? And how much can you sometimes get on a middle-class home in Pasadena per senior citizen, Jay?
I don't know, but I know that in Phoenix, where I was last 2 weeks ago, they were getting $8,000 a month
Per
resident.
Per resident.
Now that's a high end,
That's high end.
about $8,000 a month.
But if you go low end, it's about $2 grand a month.
And the place was full.
It runs between $4,000 to $6,000 a month.
Yeah, like I said, low end. Because up in Palmdale, it's low end.
Yeah.
It's $2 grand a month. But you got 12 in there. No, six, but you get 12. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You're laughing. That's an attorney for you.
You have to laugh, not to be cursing.
But seriously, I'm back in the game. And now, my boys, we have a list of all property managers in the 91107, 91105, 91106 area. That's all we're going to work. And we're going to look for judgments against them. We're going to buy them. We're going to force them into a position where we take over the property. Now, some of you probably don't like that idea because that's mean, right? Prima, do you think that's mean?
It's business.
The business. That's right. That's right. It's justice. Because they owe that judgment. You're going to hear about that. And by the way, once that starts working, because my students are here, I'm going to start coaching them how to do that. The class probably is going to evolve to about 15,000. Because that is such a valuable knowledge that people can make hundreds of thousands of dollars in real estate. RCFEs, because the graying of America is happening. That's why people call me Gray. But my wife still loves me.
At least you have hair.
I still have hair. Do you have any questions for any of my students? They're open. They're here.
Actually, there's two questions. One for you, one for the students, or you. Do you have the class, and how do you find out about the schedule of the class?
Okay, the schedule is December 9th in Pasadena, the Pasadena Sheraton. 303. 303, my mind just went blank. Cordova, East Cordova in Pasadena. Starts at 9, officially ends at 5, but we usually go into the restaurant and just kibitz all night.
Is there a contact number
Yes, let me give you my cell phone. I answer my cell phone. Or you can sign up tonight with,
Yeah, in a minute, we'll have you guys, whoever's really interested in actually going, hold up your hands and we'll give you a sign-up sheet, because you can sign up tonight. 626-786-6534. That's my personal cell. My business phone rings, it comes to my personal cell. I have found that if I answer my cell, I get the business, I get the money. I don't avoid people. Okay? Today, my students found out what lovely people Los Angeles Sheriff deputies are. Right, guys? And by the way, one of the things, Steve, the Los Angeles Sheriff retirement people are going to want to invite me to talk to their deputies when they retire. Because the deputies couldn't believe the kind of money that I made today at that auction. It's incredible. So deputies are retiring. They're gonna take my course. Yes, Pat.
One of the things that I just wanted to add about, it's not just the class, it's the meetups every month. We learn a lot of the details at those meetups. Like, I'll bring the cases that I found and I'll go through them. I'll like, this is good, Ray? He's like, no, because this detail. We'll go through a lot of the nuances, and in the meetups is where he covers the things you can't cover in the 8 hours because you need specific examples. So that's why the meetups are valuable.
My one of my top students is Jeff Thomas. He couldn't be here tonight. He started 2 years ago, and he just went balls out. Here's what happened. About a year ago, he went down to Orange County on a $3,000 judgment. He went to the guy's house, signed it up, and came back. Found out that that guy ran one big law firm in Beverly Hills. That attorney, Judgment Creditor, called Jeff up and says, you know what, I like your style. I like the fact you're aggressive. Come on by, a couple of my attorneys are going to be there, and we've got something for you. They gave him a total of $3 million in judgments. And I called Jeff and I said, you need help? Because I'm so helpful. He says, no, I don't need your help. And he said, and in fact, he says, I have so much work. But he's a guy, I've seen his checks, $25,000. Steve saw some $10,000 checks. He's working this business, okay? And he's got another case that is it's going to be awesome. And all my students, if you become my students, I promise I will teach you, I will mentor you so that you will know this business. Yeah, you can't learn it all in 8 hours. But like Patty says, it's the follow-up. Because if you have a case and you're having trouble, all you got to do is call me. Right, Patty?
Yep.
And in fact, Gabby over there also called me once and I said, no, don't get that, right? There was a case that she had. She was so ecstatic. I said, no, don't do it. Yes, ma'am.
So with your course, will the students individually have access to
You will subscribe to their service. Yeah. But let me tell you, it's extremely valuable because you don't have to go into the courthouse to find judgments any longer. Okay? It's that simple. Yes, sir.
My second question is, one of the people here very experienced in law. I'm not. A lot of this is over my head. Before I take a class like that, I'd like to be able to understand a little bit more so I'm more within a, do you have some recommendation of what I could start to get people to show up to class?
Yeah, you know what? Go to YouTube. There's a lot of guys out there who have videos on judgment enforcement. Yeah, I know some of those guys, but no. No, because you know what? My students pay a dear price to get my knowledge. I'm not going to give it out for free.
Yeah, but I intend to, it's just that, you know, sometimes when you first, it's
Do it,
it's
yeah. Better yet, go talk to an attorney. You know why? They'll tell you they don't know judgment enforcement, so then you can tell them to take my course. I have a special price for attorneys. Seriously, I have a special price for attorneys. Attorneys pay me $10,000 to take my course. Special price, just for attorneys. There's a reason why I charge 10 grand. Why do I charge 10 grand? Number one, because I really don't want them in this business. But you're a retired attorney. I have a whole bunch of attorneys who are my students. Okay? A whole bunch of attorneys. There was a question.
I have a question for your students.
Yes, ask.
What do you think is the hardest part about learning this system, and what's the scariest part?
Taking action.
What's that?
Action.
What's that mean?
Just do it.
Just start it.
If you're not used to going into court, it can be a very intimidating experience, right? But there are some of us here who've been into court so many times, this is, we could care less, right?
You know, one of
there's
the
a lot of things that you can look up in the law, and it's right there. You know, and there's books you can get. But it's kind of like when I first became a lawyer and I was in bankruptcy, right? The guy that I worked for first was Bill Simon in San Bernardino. I learned more in 6 months with Bill Simon, just hanging out and having him say, here, go do this and do that. Then he'd tell me what's going on, and he'd give me these little insights. And I'm pushing way ahead, because there's somebody there he's doing chapter 11, he's doing chapter 7, he's doing chapter 13, and you're in the middle of it, and you're kind of holding on to their coattails for the first 3 months because everything is so new. I don't care who you are as a lawyer in a law school, everything is new.
But remember,
if you take his course, the most important thing is not, he'll tell you about the law and everything, but you know, you can pick that up in the books. You can pick the procedure up in the books. But he teaches the business of law, the business of debt collection and judgment work, right? I mean, he teaches the real stuff. And it's not written down necessarily in anybody's book. It's like if you don't learn it, you're in the trenches, you're never going to learn it. It's being street smart. And that's why when I sat in his course, I looked at him going, yeah, okay, I know that, I can figure that, I can get this and that and the other thing. But then 80 to 90% of it is just like what you heard right here. It is, oh yeah, and I went and I did this and that and the other thing. Well, this and that and the other thing is not written down anymore. It's what you learn. And you learn it from him. You learn it from anybody else who's got 10 or 15 years in business. And that's the real value.
I was in court downtown, and I was in front of a judge, a whole bunch of attorneys. And after a while, this is the kind of stuff that you will hear from judges. He said, Mr. Segal, are you an attorney, sir? Your Honor, I'm not. Well, Mr. Segal, number one, you dress better than most of attorneys who come in here. Which is true, because I like custom-made suits. Most attorneys walk in there, they got their suit tails hanging out, whatever. Right? You gotta dress the part. But here's the second thing that he said, Mr. Isidro, I read your motions. Your motions are fantastic. You must have legal training. I said, Your Honor, I don't. This is just stuff that I picked up over the last 17 years. Well, Mr. Isidro, you are very impressive. Thank you, Your Honor. I've heard that from many judges. This kind of stuff is not taught anywhere, except if you learn it from people who are in the game. But if I can make money, if my sons, my experiment is with my sons. A year from now, if you ask me to come here and speak again, I'll bring my youngest son, and I'll have him speak and tell you how easy it was the way Dad taught it. Low-hanging fruit.
And one of the other cool things that we do as his students is we go to court with him and watch. So he has a judgment debtor exam, we'll go and we'll be his note taker, or we'll be his witness, or we all have a role when we go.
It's actually a play. I'm the bad guy, and she's the nice person that's, empathetic. And then I've got Jeff who comes in, he's my investigator. He's a tough dude. And then I've got another guy come in, and that guy is, oh yeah, he's a nice guy. No, we play a role. I mean, we have fun. My students come in and watch me, okay? And I don't charge for that, do I?
No.
No, it's all free. My students get everything from me. And that's why I want these guys to make money, because why? They've invested a lot of money in this. Well, not really. I mean, $2 is not a lot. And you can blow that on a dinner. Some good wine. Yeah. But seriously, this is, if you're looking for something to start the year, you want something that's out of the box. This is so out of the box, right? You guys agree? Because when Iris asked me about this, she had no idea what this was. And she said, man, you ought to come to, I said, there's so much more than what I can talk about. Give me days, I can tell you guys. But my students are going to learn all this. And in 5 years' time, we're going to have a rollicking party, because we're all going to go, I think next year we're going to Maui. So we do fun stuff, we go to Maui. And then what we do is, we didn't have our Christmas dinner this year, because I got busy. But we're going to have our Christmas dinner in January. Only my students. So I believe in having fun. I believe in making it happen. Yes, ma'am?
Would this be similar if a person who's holding a judgment hires a judgment recovery service? They go after, they basically pay the person who's holding the judgment X amount, and then they go after the...
Yeah.
Right?
If you have a judgment, you don't want to work it yourself, right? You can say, you don't have time, do all the work, give me half. That's the deal. Right. That's the deal. Sit back, wait for the checks. Then I write you a check every month. I have so many judgment creditors who, I'm sending them checks at the end of the month, because that's when I do my accounting. I got to write 50, 60, 70 checks because I'm getting all these sorts of checks. And there are rumors that some of these checks are over $2,000, $3,000 a month to me. Just rumors. Okay? So this is a fun business. Yes, ma'am?
In what circumstances people take judgment for $200, $300 million? Do they really owe them that much money?
Okay, the question is, if there's a $500 million judgment issued by the court, does the judgment debtor really owe that money? Absolutely. The judgment debtor is on the hook for $500 million. The problem is they don't know how to collect. The judgment creditor doesn't know how to collect. So here I come.
So they really borrowed money from them? Or
What's that?
Is that really those people, they borrowed money, or just...
It depends. It depends on whatever reason. Look, a lot of the big judgments are because of contract law. Companies suing each other, right? And so somebody broke the contract, and their damage is $500 million. Yeah, but I teach my students to start with a low-hanging fruit, the small claim stuff, so that you're making money every week. Because my goal is all my students, and this worked out for a bunch of my students, they get their money back. They get their money back. From that point on, it's all pure profit. And one case will get your money back. One case. Okay? I'm working with Luke Love, Steve's son. He's what, 19? Just turned 19. And as long as he does exactly what I do, he's going to make more money than Dad. Because he's going to buy RCFE, Steve. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I have a question. Now, you mentioned in the probate, right? The executor may call you or will call you if you have an abstract of judgment. Now, how do you go from that point to making an offer on the property of the estate to get it at 15 or 50 to 70% ARV?
In my neighborhood, the lowest price houses go for $800. Those are tear downs. A woman that I knew lived around the block from us. Her house sold for $800,000 out of probate. The investor that bought it for $800,000. Paid whatever the fair market value was. But here's what they did. They put $500,000 in and sold it for $1.5 million. And in my neighborhood, $1.5 million went like that. So whatever price you want, whatever negotiation skills you have, at least I got you in the door, an audience with a decision maker. That's the key with the abstract. Okay? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. Now, at that point, when they contact you, are you ahead of everyone else knowing that that property is going to probate?
No, everybody else knows because they're receiving hundreds and hundreds of letters. But you're the one that has the audience with the decision maker because by law, they have to talk to you because you're a secured creditor in the estate. Isn't that cool? Yes. Hey, by the way, some of you guys lost money because of escrow couldn't close, right? Probably because of a judgment. If you knew how to find that judgment and get that judgment, you will get paid. You don't have to lose money anymore because escrow can't close if you know this game.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt really quickly. Everyone who's really interested in purchasing this, please raise your hands and we'll start handing these out. So just keep them up till I come. Are you helping me?
Jade, for you, special price.
They'll still get what they need, but it won't be what they need.
Oh, do I still have time to answer
We have
another
like
question?
2 more minutes. 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes. Yes. One last question, sir.
When a pair of co-conspirators have a judgment against them on a lawsuit, and one of them's out of state and has to be collected, can you still take them in Illinois?
In Illinois? Oh, absolutely. I go all over the country chasing people. If it's big enough, it's got to be worth my time. If it's like a 10,000, 20, 25, 100,000, I won't bother because I got enough in my thing. But if it's this $4 billion judgment that I'm negotiating to take over, the judgment debtor has money in Asia. And the judgment creditor is going to have to pay for my first class trips when I go to Singapore to perform my depots. And I only stay at the best hotels. So I love this gig. That's why I have my sons helping me because guess what? Somebody's got to run the office. I can't do the daily stuff. Okay? But yes, I will go anywhere to chase somebody. Barbados, yes.
Part of this would be good preparation for a lawsuit in terms of it, that I can find out more about the people that I'm going to bring in as co-conspirators.
Yeah, absolutely. You learn this stuff. You learn how to use my subpoena strategy. Let's pass my business cards around.
So that'd be easier to negotiate, not have to go to class, because I already know what I can do.
I can save you a lot of money. Pass it around, yeah. I didn't, you know, I was so giddy today. I didn't have lunch because I was counting my money today. Yeah, so I forgot to bring all my business cards. Sorry, but you guys have my cell number, right? Hey, give me a call. Tell me, hey, listen, I'll take you out to In-N-Out. Love In-N-Out. But yes, ma'am.
So like when you do the banks, deposit, it's much like the storage units, same thing, where they posted.
Yeah, but it's hard to find it and post it. Usually the sheriff's sales, only one person shows. That's how I got that little patek. I was the only one there.
That's crazy.
That's crazy what? I know, isn't it cool? Yeah? Yeah, Leo, how are you, man?
I'm doing fantastic. Hey, I want you to know that once you become his student, you can actually take him out to lunch.
Yes!
And then go and have lunch with him. And then that really answers your question.
No, seriously, I'm there for you guys. Because I want you to be successful. And the more successful you are, the more successful I am. Yes, ma'am. Future attorney. Oh, is that 4 years? Okay. Yes.
Do you recommend that when you do this, you go incognito? You say, hey, I'm collecting
Do I recommend you go incognito? Yes and no. It depends on the situation. Oh, it's never confrontational with me.
Unless you're in court, you have to bail it.
Well, when I'm in court, then I beat on people. Seriously. Okay? I've asked, you don't know how many times I've had to go back in during judgment debtor exam. The judgment debtor says, I don't have to answer that question. Let's go see the judge. Your Honor, he is refusing to answer my questions. May I ask that you please cuff him and stuff him and take him to jail and let him think about answering my question. Judge says, will you answer Mr. Rosito's question, please? Miracles happen. They answer. Thank you. That's it. I'm out of time. Thank you.
Did we all learn something?
Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon at Invest Club.